Hi, Alex. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Nice to see you for a second time today.
I know. That was really fun listening to the state of the city here in Longmont. And I just want to reach out to you and thank you so much for running for city council here in Longmont at large position. I know it takes a lot of time away from the family and all that, but it's a big concern for people, and we all want to know what your status is, how you feel about Longmont, and all that stuff. And as we're talking about that, I might as well mention that Longmont Chamber of Commerce also gave you a questionnaire along with everybody else who's running, and they can go to the chamber website, excuse me, and look through all the questions and your responses.
Yeah. And if anybody
So,
goes, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
And if anybody has any questions on those responses, I know there's six of us for running at large, two for Ward 2, and four for mayor. So I wanted to be short and to the point. But if anybody has any additional feedback or comments on any of my questions, I'm always available to answer those either via email, alex@alexforlongmont.com, or you can call me too. You can call my personal cell phone, 303-885-1045. Always want to make time for the community. So yeah, thanks for plugging that because that they had some great questions that really affect a broad range of everybody here in the city.
It covered a lot of territory. So, with that, let me have you go ahead and tell our community what is at the forefront of your mind today.
Yeah, so development, when we were one of the themes about the chamber event, the state of the city, is about revenue that we're getting from either our residents or from the tourists. And one of the things that really, struck a chord with me is this, if we didn't have tourism here in the city, and Jenny, I don't know if you caught this, but they said that all of the residents, all the households in Longmont would have to contribute an extra $7,000 to our local economy to make up for us not having tourism here. And there's a lot of things that the chamber is doing and LDDA is doing and the Visit Longmont Board is doing to attract people to come here temporarily to spend money in our food and beverage establishments. Also, go to some of our cool attractions like the Rock Climbing Collective that now has the ice World Cup, ice climbing World Cup, which is really cool. And that struck a chord, $7,000 from all of us additional. That's a
I
lot of
know,
money.
I know, me too. It did hit home.
Yeah. So I appreciated them letting us know, like, hey, like, tourists are here for a short amount of time. They spend a lot of money in our shops. So let's get some of these really cool shops to be opened here in Longmont. And the other thing that really struck a chord, and Jenny, I don't know, I'll post it on the Facebook recap, but the cost that small businesses, the average income, average salary, and this is the slide here. Um, uh, I thought that was an amazing slide that they showed for employer size that are six or less. They actually make on average about 81,000 a year. So that was very interesting to me. There's a lot of nuggets of information that was presented at this forum, and I applaud the city for doing it. And I know there were some hard questions, and I also appreciated um, that Harold answered a question that got a lot of upvotes, but they chose not to read it. But then he did come back and answer it about, why do we need additional assistant city managers when the city manager makes $300,000? So there was a lot of transparency there, and I'm sure, we all would have wanted to hear more about that. But
Right.
I do applaud Harold for answering that question that did get a lot of upvotes that did not get asked during the forum. So that's a hard question to answer because it's about him, and he
Right.
answered it as best as he could. So I was pleasantly surprised by that. But for me, I want to make sure that we're resilient and I want to make sure that we're ready. I want us to make sure that we're resilient when it comes to infrastructure with the Sundance coming, being ready for that. I want us to be resilient, pointing to the west. I want us to be resilient for fire danger because we should never allow what happened in Superior happen here. We need to be prepared for that. So I want to make sure that we're prepared as a city to kind of think far into the future of what some of the challenges might be, whether it's financial struggles, because a
Yeah.
lot of our revenue comes from sales tax. And the other thing that they were talking about is they didn't get as much money as they anticipated from property taxes, and sales tax carries a very large burden for our finance.
Yeah.
How do
Very
we support our
interesting.
businesses? Yeah. So a lot of interesting data, and I took a lot of notes, and I'll have my recap of how I thought it went. But I was I was very impressed, and I look forward to going to that next year as well.
I believe Scott from the Chamber of Commerce put that together. So kudos to him and the Chamber for following through doing that every year. It's very informative. And it is held at the museum here. So they've got a large audience, a lot of seats.
Yeah, and I
Auditorium.
also loved the opening statement that they said that they're growing the museum space by 70%. And the coolest part about that is whenever you see construction, for me, I always see dollar signs. They
Right.
also said that 80% of that is actually privately funded.
Isn't that
So
amazing?
that's amazing. So thanks to the residents or the community members for donating for us to increase our culture here in the town without really dipping that much into the city budget. Because again, we don't
Yeah.
have a blank checkbook, but
Yeah.
by having some very generous people, and you still have time if you want to donate to the museum, your name can be on the wall and kind of continue that tradition. It's a beautiful facility, and I can't wait to see what exhibitions go in there because we've already had some really cool stuff that's gone
Yeah.
through that door.
We did have Picasso to let people know. His exhibit was here. I don't know if you had a chance to see that one.
And then the Lego exhibit. So I have two small kids, if you all can
Oh,
see the photos back
oh,
there.
great.
The Lego exhibit was a family favorite. And one of the really cool things, if you forgot about the Lego exhibit or if you missed it, Brickscape, Billy owns Brickscape, kind of by Butcher Frank. He did purchase the stuff from that exhibition. So if you missed the
Oh,
Lego one, Brickscape, really cool coffee shop. The kids will be entertained. You can also support a local business. Lego shop there. Very passionate about coffee. So if you want to take a break and let your kids play with Legos and race a car down a ramp, check out Brickscape.
that sounds like a lot of fun. I didn't know that. So that's fun. Fun kudo information.
Yeah, so for me, it's like how do we create cool shops that become a destination for people who are passing through Longmont, either driving up to Loveland where they live, or driving to Frederick. Let's say they're passing through Boulder. How do we get people to come to our really cool businesses to spend their money so we can get that money to stay in our economy? There was another graph that showed the circular of money that is invested and stays in Longmont. And the
Yeah,
more we can do that, the more we all benefit from, improvements to our infrastructure. So I
right.
think that's
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah.
So yeah,
They were excellent exhibits.
yes. And I
Yeah,
think if we grow our businesses, we can grow our businesses without really growing our population. And I think we can really grow in that. And I think that's where personally I think we should grow next is I think we need to grow our business base first versus the housing. I think the business growth needs to grow a little bit. And speaking of that, I'm getting a lot of questions about open space and the Canamono conservation easement. And I don't know if you wanted to touch on that, but I'm happy
yeah.
to shed a little bit more light on that.
Let's go ahead and have you discuss that so people know where you stand on your position with that.
Yeah. So I think we're really fortunate. If you like to be outside, we have a lot of areas for people to have recreation, to really disconnect. Because right now we are so connected to our phones that it is any
Yeah,
opportunity we can get to go outside and enjoy community. we should have that available. And our open space really allows us to enjoy the beauty that we have. And 74% of us voted for it, including myself. I voted for continuing to support open space during our last election cycle. And 74%, that's a lot of people
That's
to vote for
a
something.
ton.
So,
Yes. Yeah.
we heard the people loud and clear that open space is important to us. So let's protect what's open. And when it comes to conservation easements, they're a little bit different than open space. Conservation easements are something that go onto the deed of a property. And there's the Canamono property is currently going through a legal battle with the county and the folks in that community. And it's currently under litigation. And there was a questionnaire that got passed around whether I'm in support or against or other when it comes to
Okay.
that property. And I think it's bad for somebody who is one, not an elected official already,
Mm.
somebody who's a candidate, to comment on something that is currently under litigation. I think that sets a bad precedent for people to comment on something that the courts really need to figure out. In my personal opinion, I think we need to protect and respect the contracts that were put in place when it comes to lands like this. So we need to make sure that the agreement has been fulfilled and we're fulfilling that promise. But as since it's in litigation, I don't think anybody who is not an elected official should be commenting on that. If it came to me and I was on city council, I would vote to not annex that property into the city for one of two reasons. One, we do like our open space, and two, it is very far outside of the city limits, pretty close to the edge of the city limits. Development in that plot would be extremely expensive. So not only do we lose land that we've had protected for, open space or conservation ag- agreements, but it's also on the fringe of our city. Bringing in all of that infrastructure is very expensive. We have other places that are easier and cheaper to develop that aren't either open space or conservation easements that are cheaper for the city to develop.
Can I ask you, Alex, can you share with our viewers exactly where that property is that you're talking about, the Kenemoto property?
Yeah, so if you're looking at a map and you're looking down, diagonal goes up through town and then kind of goes sideways. And then Airport Road is here. So it's
Uh-huh.
basically very close to Airport Road and where diagonal kind of intersect.
Okay.
I believe it's 40 acres or so of land. And
Okay.
again, like that is on the boundary of our city. There's so many other places that are easier to develop if that is the route that we choose to go, that are cheaper and more closely integrated to infrastructure or transportation. My whole thing is let's put development slowly in
Uh-huh.
the places where it makes sense, where we have infrastructure to support that kind of growth. The last thing I want is to have a densely populated area where we don't have enough parking, and then there is no RTD service or any mass transit for these people to move around. So, one, we're expecting people to have cars. Two, there's not enough space for cars and it's not connected. So we're putting an awful burden on people to live in a dense area that is not surrounded by other density.
That's great. Thank you for explaining that, why you're so adamant, besides the fact that it's in legal hands right now.
Yeah,
So,
my thing is let the legal process play out. I
yep,
don't think we should muddy the waters. Let them do that. And then if it does come to the table of city council, then that is where I will be more involved in the process. But until that, it's not, the ball's not in our court. I don't think we should be really commenting, yes or no on annexation because it's not in front of us and we shouldn't be talking about it at the moment. But if it does
yeah.
come to me, I would not support annexing it.
Now, that's not really on the ballot, but that's just one of the issues that people are considering when they're choosing who they want to be at large and who's on city council. That's the way
Absolutely.
I'm taking this.
Yeah. And there's a lot of neighborhoods that feel like the city does not give them enough attention. I've been speaking to a lot of folks in the southwest part of Longmont, which is near the Canamono property, that feel like they're not truly represented. Nobody who's currently on council or anybody who's running for council really lives in that part of town. So what we need to do as either elected officials and or members of a board, we need to get to all of these different neighborhoods that don't get a lot of attention. So I've heard a lot from the Southwest. I've heard a lot about the folks in the North, and then also the folks um, below, like South Longmont near Prospect, also need some representation too. And we need to make sure that the city is getting to all of these people who feel like they're underrepresented.
And and in a way, they're all different types of people living there. I think the one in Prospect are more long-term people, along with, I believe it's Coal Creek. The
A
one
ridge.
closer that's a little more west, I don't hear too much from those people. I'm not sure whether they're more rentals, leases, what is in that area.
Yeah, so a lot of those are single family houses that, you know, don't feel like they're represented
Okay,
by the community. So, let's go to their pumpkin carving festivals that they have. They have events. Some of these HOAs run events. The city should really set up a booth there to say, hey, we're here, our ears are open. Come and talk to us and let us know what you need. That's one example. But we can also move coffee with councils to different parks. We have a lot of beautiful parks either that are city owned and operated or HOA owned and operated. And we should work with those communities to make sure that we're going to all of these different places, also different times of the days and different times of the week. Because when you have the same block of time every single week, whether it's city council meetings or coffee with council around the same time, let's go where the people are.
I love it. I'm going to bring up to you something that I talked to Diane about, and we have great um, we can have great representation here. When you stop and think on Facebook, Voice of Longmont has 47,000 followers. Then we have the LDDA who spoke up today at the meeting. We also have Nextdoor, and we also have Longmont Public Media. So when you stop and think about how many people are in these little nooks and crannies,
Mhm.
I'm sure that there must be a way to bring it together so everybody hears what's going on, the latest news. But that's out of my league. I'm
Right.
going to ask you, is there a way that with social media we could do something like that?
Yeah, and our communications team for the city of Longmont does a really great job. I don't have the city line next to me, but we do a lot of great communication. But we need to direct the staff and say, hey, let's figure out where most of the people are so we
Uh-huh.
can start opening up those lines of communication and meet people where they are. We see that Voice of Longmont has over 40,000 people in it. That's a
Right.
that's that's a huge chunk of our population. We're
That's
a
almost
hundred.
half. Yeah.
Right. We're over 100 and 40,000. That's very close to half of
Yeah.
the adult population,
Right.
for sure. So let's work with our communications team so they can start to go to all of these different nooks and crannies. Of course, we want to make sure we're getting the lowest hanging fruit first, but definitely leverage the Facebooks, the Nextdoors, LDDA, the newsletters, the bulletins, all of the coffee shops. If you go to the coffee shops, there's a lot of flyers and banners that are put up. City should also go there as well. So we need to, like I've said a million times before, we have to meet the people where they are.
Yeah. Okay. I I I love your attitude and how thoughtful you are on a lot of these other things. We've got about 3 minutes left. And is there something else that you would like to tell the viewers that you're passionate about? Or would you like to focus on Alex and how they can get in touch with you again?
Yeah, so one of the quick things that I want to mention is went to a community solutions meeting this week, 7:30 in the morning at the Butterfly Pavilion. And one thing is clear. RTD is wanting to use money that is set aside for fast track. Remember that fast track is the route that we all pay for and voted for to
Right.
have a Northwest corridor. They're wanting to use that money that is in an account for things that are not fast track. So one of the things that I'm going to be going to the RTD board meeting on the 28th, if anybody wants to join me, I will carpool, is I want to speak up loud and clear that RTD cannot use our money that we allocated for fast track for anything else. They want to use it for increasing service for the Flatiron Flyer, which if you know anything, that does not come to Longmont. So do not use the money that we earmark for something that we voted for something other than what we voted for, because that is a huge breach of trust.
Wow, I had no idea. I knew there were issues with the monies that RTD gets, but I didn't realize it was anything like that. Where is that meeting?
The meeting's going to be down in Denver near Union Station, and I'll comment below on this Facebook post the
Okay.
address and time. I believe it's at 5:30 on the 28th on Blake Street, but I'll provide the information in the comments
Okay.
just so people know. And I can seat 6 other people, and some other folks from the Transportation Advisory Board will also be going because we want to advocate for RTD spending the money how we expect them to spend our money because
Definitely.
we
Yeah.
gave it to them. Don't
Yes.
misuse it.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you so much. We are out of time. Why don't you give another plug for yourself and how people can get in touch with you, just in case they didn't get it?
Yeah. So alexforlongmont.com or alex at alexforlongmont.com if you want to send me an email. I'm also on Reddit or Facebook. So however you want to communicate with me, if you want to call me, 303-885-1045. If you want to grab a drink somewhere, whether it's a hot beverage, coffee, tea, hot water, if you want to drink a beer too, I'm happy to meet you wherever you want to go in public. So use me as a resource because that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the community, regardless of the capacity that I'm in. So, really use me to your advantage.
Love it. Thank you so much, Alex. Really appreciate your time and sharing all your thoughts.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Great. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.